unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio program, and I am, of course, your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Overcoming some technical obstacles here tonight, but we were able to adapt and overcome, and I'm very glad, of course, if it's the weekend, it is the Black Channel, so there was no way that I could be a no-show for it. Especially going into the No Thanksgiving week. And for those of you who are not aware, that is a Black Channel tradition. We will, of course, be broadcasting live this Thursday, because white supremacy does not take a holiday, and neither do we. So we will be live this No Thanksgiving. And I'll be glad to have all of you with us here joining. And as a matter of fact, we'll probably open up the telephone lines here shortly, because I got a few things on my mind that I do want to discuss and be able to go over with you here tonight. Because on tonight's program, I want to discuss economic superbombs. And it's time to make sure that people are aware of some of the things that we've been telling them about over the last few years. What makes the Black Channel unique and what makes what we do here unique is that we don't simply tell you about what has happened. We tell you what's going to happen. We predict it. We have to have our finger on the pulse, and we have to be able to read the weather in all these directions. And here at the Black Channel, everything that we said is coming to pass exactly the way that we said it. And I have to tell you that it is a prophet's hope to be wrong. It is a prophet's hope to be in error. But unfortunately, that's not the case. For those of you who are unaware, news broke here earlier this week, and I posted about it. But they've been talking about it in the news now for a week now, that Amazon has chosen the locations for its new, if such a thing can be believed, split headquarters, but it's really just going to be two major corporate hubs in two different places. That's all that's going to be. And one of the places that they chose was New York. So they're going to be setting up shop in an area of Queens. For those of you who are not aware, it's an area of Queens that's called Long Island City. It is not actually a city. It is an area in Queens that they refer to as Long Island City. In reality, it is nowhere near. I mean, it's in reality, it's not. That's not referring to Long Island, okay? In case you weren't aware, what they call Long Island actually incorporates what you got Brooklyn. Well, anyway, you can go look that up for yourselves. But long story short, that's what they're doing there. But also, the other one is going to be in D.C., in Alexandria. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the Alexandria area, then you already know that basically it's right outside, it's essentially outside the Capital District is where it is, in Alexandria. But there's a reason why I went over these things. There's a reason why. And I wanted you to be aware of that, because there is a reason for it. Now, what I'm going to show you on your screen here is going to be something that I want you to keep in mind. This is what you see here in the middle of the screen. This is where Long Island City is. And you can see where it is. On one side, you've got Manhattan. So they're right out. It's going to be right on the other side of the river from Manhattan. And on the other side there, you got Queens. Down here, right below it on the bottom half of the screen, below the highlighted area, that's Brooklyn. So this is an area of Queens, and right below that is Brooklyn. On the other side of so to the east, you got Queens. To the south, you got Brooklyn. To the west, you have Manhattan. So they are right there in the middle of everything. You're going to have relatively cheaper prices for real estate, and then you're going to have proximity to the really cush real estate. So what they've got now is proximity, and that's what matters to them a lot. That matters to them a lot. And this is something for you to keep in mind, because a lot of people were thinking that this was going to be like, some of you in the chat room are wrong, by the way. You're absolutely wrong. Amazon has made the exact right move. You're wrong. This is absolutely the right move for them. You don't know anything about business, and certainly not about big business. This is absolutely the right move for Amazon, because Professor Scott Galloway of New York University, and you all know L2 correctly predicted that Amazon would acquire Whole Foods. A lot of you come from places outside of major metroplexes like New York and whatnot. So when you consider that New York is, depending on what year you're asking, New York is the financial capital of the world. So, but in America, New York is certainly the financial capital of America. So New York is the financial capital of America, and DC is the political capital of America. So rather than doing what you all are accustomed to looking at, where a company looks for the cheapest city that they can be in, and they're trying to save pennies, Amazon is the second wealthiest corporation on the face of the planet, maybe the wealthiest. As Scott Galloway said, they have access to the cheapest capital in the world. They are the second wealthiest corporation on the planet. This move, by putting them, consider what the prices were in New York and DC 20 years ago, 30 years ago. If they don't make the move to these two areas now, what are they going to do? Try to make the move in 20 years? What will the prices be then? So right now, it is incredibly cheap for them to be able to do this. But there are some things you need to be aware of. There are things that you need to know. And that is what the Black Channel is here for. We're here to make sure that you are aware of exactly what we predicted and what we told you, because these things are essential. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play is from the New York Times. I'm going to play a clip from a New York Times video article. And this one really kind of sums up very well exactly what you're looking at here now. I'm also going to zoom in right now. What I'm doing is we're zooming in on where the projected area in Long Island City, what they're looking at. And I'm going to play this for you so that you hear what they're talking about. And then I'm going to come back and explain it for you.
Long Island City, where glass towers and million-dollar views sit next to warehouses and taxi garages. And soon, also Amazon's new headquarters. So what's going on in Long Island City? Locals typically refer to it as LIC, and it sits on the western edge of Queens. It has gone from industrial to corporate chic to somewhere in between all of that. In the next 15 years, Amazon could occupy as much as 8 million square feet here. The company will also take about 1 million square feet in the City Core building at Court Square. Citigroup planted LIC's first high-rise tower here in the 1990s. Since then, low-lying warehouses and auto shops have been replaced by new office buildings and apartment complexes at a dizzying speed. Five Points was once a mecca for graffiti artists from around the globe. but it was demolished in 2014 to make space for new development. Last year, more new apartments were built in LIC than anywhere else in New York City. The neighborhood is also home to North America's largest public housing project. What does the neighborhood have to offer? It is well connected. 8 subway lines serve the area. You can be in Times Square in as little as 10 minutes. Grand Central in about 5. You can also ride the ferry or catch the Long Island Railroad. The neighborhood has its share of cultural offerings. There's contemporary art at MoMA PS1, the Sculpture Center, and there's the Queen's Library at Court Square. There are large parks on the East River, as well as lots of restaurants. And the local schools, they overperform in comparison to the rest of the city. New York City recently announced $180 million in new spending on bolstering the neighborhood's transit and fixing the sewer system, among other things. But what does Amazon have to offer in return? Jobs, jobs, and more jobs. Amazon promised to hire 25,000 full-time employees at its New York headquarters.
This city now, that tech ecosystem just got a huge boost from Amazon's decision to come here. But we know that's only going to spark a lot more growth.
New York's tech ecosystem got a huge boost. But we know that that is only going to spark more growth. Now, for those of you who are used to ideas like where they would build an auto plant or where they would build a manufacturing plant or a chemical plant, those don't have to be close to anything. They just have to have a piece of land, and they're going to go to the place because they're going to have trucks bring things in. Amazon is talking about where their corporate operations will be. And they want to be right. They're the largest one of the largest corporations, richest corporations on earth, one of the very largest. They want to be right there in the middle of it. So no, we're not going to go off into Topeka, Kansas or West Texas. Now, New York State opened their damn wallets and told Amazon you can have whatever you want. They've put in almost $2 billion in tax incentives, which works out really well because Amazon expects to spend about $2 billion on their plans. Amazing how that worked out, huh? So they're essentially coming to New York City for free. Essentially, they're coming for free. Essentially. They're coming for nothing. That's what's going on now. They're coming for nothing. And this is going to be the future. This is going to be the future now. What you're looking at here, this is going to be the way things are going to be going forward. And I'm talking about for the next 150 years. This is going to be the way forward for the next 150 years. Just like you're looking at the Empire State Building today, you're going to be looking at Amazon's tower or Amazon's campus in 150 years. That's what'll be happening. Now, in a city of in the metroplex of 20 million people, I mean, really? In a metroplex of 20 million people, seriously, what is that going to do? Now, you heard they mentioned the 5 points. Did you hear them mention that also? They mentioned the 5 points, and if you're not familiar with the 5 points in New York City, you can look it up. But when you take a look at it and realize that when the Italian immigrants and the Irish immigrants came through, and then the blacks and so-called Latinos have come through now when it's time for blacks and Latinos to come into the 5 points, now you got rid of it and said, now we're just going to get no more need for that. We're just going to get rid of all of that. No more need for it. Brothers and sisters, if you saw my documentary 7 a.m., the quintessential seminal work of its time, of all time, explaining about how in New York in particular, that these are economic bombs. Every time they would build people used to talk about them building condos. Oh, they're building condos and is pricing people out the neighborhoods. Do you all realize that with Amazon building not in just one place, but they're building in one place and taking up a lot of real estate in the city court building? Take a look at that. Essentially, that entire area of Long Island City, they are setting off not an economic bomb, but an economic nuclear bomb. Forget a blast yield of 5 or 6 blocks. This is going to have a blast yield of 5 or 6 miles. For those of you who don't live in the New York area, these people consider a 5-mile drive to be a commute because it takes that damn long to get there. So these folks, a 5 or 10 mile drive, they consider that to be a commute. So where their Amazon's campus is going to be, that's going to be a major hub. They've already got subway lines that go through that area, but they're going to have even more now. Gonna have even more. They're gonna have even more now. Think about that for a few moments. Now you're gonna have even more. But guess who will not be included in this? Because I warned people, I warned them years ago. I've been warning the entire time. I did a whole documentary about it to explain this is going to be the new way going forward. In Manhattan, black people have essentially been chased out of Manhattan with the exception of Harlem and Washington Heights. But other than that, and as you all know, Harlem's being gentrified to hell, so other than Washington Heights and Harlem, black folk have been chased out of Manhattan. In Brooklyn, black people are on the run in Manhattan. You all thought that Queens was going to be a safe place. Amazon has just put all their chips on Queens. So now you can't get that anymore. Queens is about to be the place to be. And with something like Amazon over there, don't you understand that's going to suck a lot of the wind out of Manhattan? Now it's going to be a bunch of major corporations wanting to build up in Queens so they can be on the side of the river of the biggest, hippest, most happening corporation in the world. That's what you're looking at now. I'm saying all this to say that black people in New York, you are done. You're through. You're done. It's over. It's all the way over. There is nothing you can do with this now. They're going to be talking about black people in New York the way they talk about Native Americans in Kansas. It's over. You're done. This is through. It's over. We can stop talking about gentrification in New York City now. We can stop it. There's no more point in discussing, quote, gentrification in New York City. It's over. The fight is done. The war is won by the rich and the white. But it's over. New York City, there's no point in us even talking about it anymore. It's all over but the screaming and the shouting. It's done. Black people in New York City, you are finished. It's over. It's all downhill from here. It's all downhill from here. You will not recover from this. What the tech companies did in San Francisco, in New York City, you were hanging on by your fingernails. You're done now. You're done. It's over. It's over. No, where are they going to go? They're going to try to all run off to the Bronx now. You know, the slum in the Bronx. But what are you going to do when Apple or Google or somebody else decides they want to build a major hub in the Bronx? Because black people don't bring wealth. That's the problem. Black people show up in these areas, but we do not bring wealth. And because we do not bring wealth, We become squatters in our own cities. So what that means is that the price of the real estate and everything else ain't gonna go nowhere. We become squatters in the city. You become squatters in the city. So even if all the black folk do get chased out and go attempt to pile up in the Bronx, you're going to drive up the housing prices there, which are already going up way more than you're going to be able to afford now. And as soon as the business people say, okay, Manhattan is completely built out, Amazon, we're completely building out in Queens, Brooklyn is built out, all that leaves is the Bronx and Staten Island. And the Bronx, they're already in the piano district and whatnot, they're already working on that. I'm telling you, it's over. It's over. Black folk are going to move to the Bronx, but they will not drive up the real estate prices. And so some other corporation is going to come in with $2 or $3 billion and do there what Amazon just did in Queens. It's over. It's over. It's done. North and Central Jersey, once again, as soon as what's going to happen is New Jersey is eventually going to get its tax situation straightened out. And when that happens, it's over. When you see a governor get elected in New Jersey and he makes his campaign platform, quote, tax reform, it's over in Jersey. It's over. It's over. If you're a black person on the pipe talking about moving to New York City or something, where the hell you gonna go? You don't have a people, you don't have an economic base. All you can do is get a job. So you'll be one of the people working for Amazon or working for a hospital or working for a school or working for the city, but you will not be getting ahead. That's the difference. You won't be getting ahead. You'll just be there, but you won't be getting ahead. That's the point I'm trying to make. You'll just be there, which is what we got now. A bunch of black folk who are just there. They're not running anything. They don't own anything. They're just there. They're just there. Yeah, a bunch of Uber drivers attempting to survive, but they're just there. That's my point. You'll just be there. What are you gonna do when they push you outside of the city? You think you're gonna go up to Westchester? That's where all the white folk live who don't live in New York. They all live out in Westchester, Rochester, so on and so forth. Pretty soon, black folk are going to be living out in the damn woods, which is what I went into in Gentrified. You can't even have the tent cities like that. You're just going to be living out in the woods. I made a documentary called Gentrified, and a lot of people were scoffing at it. A lot of people were doubting it. Where are those people today? A little less than 2 years later, where are those people today telling you that there ain't no gentrification issue? Where are they today? Where are they? No, you can't talk about places like Buffalo. Buffalo is a white supremacist enclave. Syracuse is another one. Albany is where poor Negroes stock up at. Albany is where poor Negroes stack up at. Black folk don't bring any wealth anywhere, which means you're at the mercy of everybody else. The game is over. In New York City, the game is over. And really in New York State, to be totally honest, for black folk as a group, the game is over. I mean, we're done. It's through. It's through. I wrote off California, and you all have seen over the last 10 years for here at the Black Channel, I wrote off California, and everything you have seen has shown that's exactly what's happened. Hey, New York City is done, and next up will be New York State. I'm not going to call it the state just yet, but New York City is done. Black folk, it's over. It's over. No, hold on a second. No, come on down to Memphis, Tennessee. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. I'm going to get to that. No, there is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. No. We're not going to sit here. Won't be any playing silly tonight. I'm going to get to that in just a moment. In the Washington, D.C. area now, Amazon building its second headquarters there. That's going to be an economic super megaton bomb. Black folk are staying out in areas like Arlington. And now they won't be able, black folk are in areas like Alexandria. Out there in the high-rise housing that allows them to stay there, or at least that used to allow you to stay there. You thought if you could just get outside the Capital District, at least you'd be able to hang in there for a little while longer. Well, that's over. That's over. You're done now. That's over. You're done. These are long-term investments. These Amazon corporate operation centers, these are long-term investments. Now, with all the news that was going on about Amazon, by the way, with all the news that was going on about Amazon, everybody didn't understand about another one. Now, this is from the Tennessean.com, part of the USA Today network. From the Tennessean, dated yesterday. The headline, the inside story of Nashville's surprise Amazon win. Wait a minute. All we heard about was New York and D.C. What are you talking about? Nashville, Tennessee. The story says less than 24 hours before the world's third most valuable company, I disagree with that. This is the second most valuable, made its long-anticipated headquarters announcement, Tennessee Governor Bill Haslam and Nashville Mayor David Briley were like the rest of us, still in the dark. Briley had just returned to the mayor's office after walking in a drizzly Veterans Day parade on Monday. Blocks away, Haslam had escaped to a quiet capital to work while state government was closed for the Veterans Day holiday. Then came the phone calls. That afternoon, Amazon officials called Haslam's Economic and Community Development Commissioner Bob Rolfe and Jeff Haidt of the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce. Now, brothers and sisters from around the world, if you want to talk about institutions, that make a difference, if you want to talk about how worthless your so-called black institutions are, you've only got two black so-called institutions, your HBCUs that were named after white folk and your black churches, both of them equally worthless. But in white society, when they talk about the institutions, they're talking about government, they're talking about the Chamber of Commerce. This is who Amazon is talking to. Amazon says, we want to talk to the Chamber of Commerce. They got them in the back pocket. And the Chamber of Commerce, you think they're delivering for you? Now, for those of you who saw my documentary Gentrified, you're about to hear a lot of familiar sounding things and a lot of familiar sounding places in here. But I just wanted to stop for a moment and say, by the way, when we want to discuss institutions, you notice that in black society, we don't discuss the Black Chamber of Commerce or the Negro Chamber of Commerce or the African American Chamber of Commerce. We don't when we talk about institutions, I want you all to understand that is an institution. That's an institution. And we don't have those. It went on to say the city would land 5,000 high-paying corporate jobs. Now, I think that's very much overstated. That may be probably people being relocated. But in any case, quote, we both had the same reaction, Haslam said in an interview referring to Rolfe. This is a really, really good deal for Tennessee. Amazon made 3 visits to Nashville this year, Amazon's confirmation is that it picked Nashville for the online seller's new Operations Center of Excellence, capped a 6-week rush where Nashville state and chamber officials pivoted from the highly publicized HQ2 headquarters to pursuit to the smaller project, one that is still the largest jobs announcement in Tennessee history. So while everybody else was out there running around talking about they wanted to get the second headquarters, they're going to build one in New York, we want to get that second one. Okay, they're building one in D.C., I want to be the second one. Nashville said, well, you know, they're also talking about a third project, an operations center. And we should see if we can get in on that. We should see if we can get in on that. During that 6-week stretch, the effort took on the code name Project Gardendale to shield communications between government agencies. Now, did you all hear that? You talk about institutions. This is economically weaponizing government. They're talking like a military outfit. Did you get that? They're talking like a military outfit. They gave this thing a code name. Like it's some military operation, because it is. Because it is. Economics is war. I taught you this in 7 a.m. Economics is war, and they're letting you know absolutely the battle lines are drawn. The battle lines are drawn. While the rest of the world was clueless about all of this, I told you all about Nashville back in 2015 and told you that that is the epicenter of gentrification in the United States today, and nobody told you this. I put my everything on it from what I had seen, and brothers and sisters, in the last 3 years, they've proven every word I had to say absolutely correct. There is no argument with it. If you are listening to the Black Channel, you're not on the leading edge. You are far ahead of the cutting edge. You are on the psychic edge of society. You're on the psychic edge. This is what we do here. And I want everyone to be aware of that. I want everyone to be aware of it. That they're treating this like a war. They're treating this like a military operation that you got intel. And I was the one telling everyone, keep your eye on Nashville. Of all the places in America that could have been chosen, we said Nashville. But there's more of a reason for that, and it's going to come back to that Memphis thing here in a moment. Story goes on to say it culminated with Nashville rolling out the red carpet for Amazon with an announcement Tuesday morning. The deal includes an incentive package for Amazon that totals $102 million in city and state funding. Now, let's be very, very clear about this. When we talk about reparations and white society says they can't afford it, when we talk about economic reparations for black people and in white society, they say they can't afford it. Barack Obama said they can't afford it. When we start talking about reparations and all of a sudden they start pleading poverty and telling you, you go and add up all the cities that were courting Amazon and add up the amounts of tax incentives that they wanted to give Amazon while they're telling you and me what they can't do. In Nashville, they'll be very quick to tell you that they can't have an economic program to benefit black people, but they could somehow find $1/10 billion to give economic incentives to Amazon, who does not need any. This is what a race war looks like. So they're going to tell you that they don't have any money for an economic program for black people, but for one company, just one, for Amazon, all of a sudden they found they were instantaneously able to acquire $100 million to drop off to just one company, one entity. Not 40 million people, just not 40 million companies, not 10 companies, a single company. They found $100 million to be able to give to them And by the way, there was no fight in the legislature. Did you get that? There's no fight in the legislature over it. There's no fight at the city council. There's no big debate. There's no going back and forth. There aren't people sitting up here talking about filibustering. There are no people giving out racist code speech. None of them doing that. There's no fighting in the legislature. The news media isn't sitting up here talking about the controversy of Amazon. You don't see any headlines talking about the controversy of Amazon. Can we afford this? Is this fair to give it to a white company? You don't. Notice how you didn't hear any of that. Now, if we were talking about black people and reparations, the news media would be up every single day with a headline talking about racial reparations, black reparations, reparations for blacks, fierce debate in the legislature. Are we going to allow this? Are we going to allow this? Isn't it amazing? Where was the fight in the legislature over this economic package to Amazon? Where is it? Where is it? Now, the story goes on to say here, for months, Nashville had been among 20 cities competing in Amazon's very public sweepstakes for its second headquarters location. On 3 occasions since March, Amazon executives visited Nashville, hearing the city's pitch at trendy restaurants, including the 404 Kitchen, and touring neighborhoods such as East Nashville, The Gulch, talked about this from Gentrified, Germantown, and the Vanderbilt area. Now, when you all see the sweeping shot of the skyline in downtown Nashville, you got to understand Vanderbilt is right outside of downtown. Right outside of downtown Nashville, they're building a bunch of high-rise apartment buildings around Vanderbilt. In that Gulch area, that's a big shopping district now. An area that most of you never even heard of. We're talking about not millions, but this has got to be billions of dollars of investment. Billions of dollars of investment. Billions. Really. So what you've got here is Nashville, which has seen its national profile soar in recent years. Yeah, because some guy named Jason Black did a documentary about it. Nashville, which has seen its national profile soar in recent years, was often mentioned as a dark horse by observers, but never a favorite to score Amazon's second headquarters. Word finally leaked last week that Amazon would split its second headquarters between New York and Northern Virginia. It seemed like the game was over for Nashville, but what state and city officials successfully kept secret was that for the past 45 days, they have been discussing a nice consolation prize for Nashville, a new operations hub built with $230 million in private money that Amazon says will create 5,000 jobs, paying an average of $150,000 a year. Now, people, if you think that there's a bunch of $150,000 jobs waiting for black folk in Nashville, get off the pipe, Negro. If you think that they got 5,000 jobs paying $150,000, first of all, if you believe that they're going to pay $150,000 in 5,000 positions, get off the pipe. Second of all, if you think these are going for black folk, if you think they're going to pay you to be pushing a mop, pushing a broom, being an LPN, being a technician, being an auto mechanic, or some other nonsense, if you think they're going to pay you $150,000 for that, get off the pipe. Get off the pipe. Put the damn pipe down. They're going to be bringing in people from around the world. These are not jobs that would be in Nashville. They're going to be bringing in people from around the damn $150,000 a year. That's damn near CEO pay. That's damn near the pay that you give a CEO. They're going to be bringing in folk from all over the world: India, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Africa, China. They're going to be bringing in people from around the world. Those jobs ain't going to go to anybody who currently lives in Nashville. There's not all people who natively live in Nashville. That's not going to be you. This is going to be for the purposes of bringing in people from California, bringing in people from Texas, bringing in people from Canada, bringing in people from Iran, Iraq, London, Beijing, Russia. This is going to be for bringing people from around the world. This is not being built for the people in Nashville. This is being built for people who don't even live in Nashville, may not even live in America, which is exactly what Professor Fraser told you in our documentary Gentrified, that these amenities and these jobs are being built, not being built for people who live in Nashville, but they're not even being built for people who live in America. While black folks are out here playing. You think that's going to be for you? Now, I went down further in the story here, and it says that in the weeks that passed, Haslam said the biggest challenge was for Amazon to settle on a location. The company had been exploring larger sites when Nashville was in contention for HQ2. He said the incentive package was less a focus of discussions, calling the final offer, quote, pretty reasonable compared to other economic development deals of this size. The state is to provide a $65 million cash grant for capital expenditures and $21.7 million in job tax credits to offset state franchise and excise taxes, while the city is to chip in $15 million worth of incentives. The latter is subject to Metro Council approval, while they're telling you and I they can't pay for reparations, while they're telling you and I that they can't give us exempt black folk from taxes. As reparations for us, they are exempting Amazon from taxes. What they're saying is Amazon will not pay any taxes. Not only that, but Amazon will get tax credits. Not only that, not only will they not have to pay taxes, they will get tax credits. You know, like the earned income tax credit that we give bastard baby makers for simply having kids. They take money from everybody else to give it to hoes who ain't going to develop or contribute in any way. But that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing now. While they're telling you and me what they can't afford and what they can't pay for. While they're telling you and I that they cannot afford to make a black business district, but when Amazon showed up, they were able to make all the business district you can handle. While they're telling you and me and Dr. Claude Anderson that they can't make a black business district, Amazon shows up and all of a sudden business districts start falling out they damn ears. This is what they're doing. Now, the next part of this says, inside Nashville's pitch to Amazon. When Amazon announced plans in September 2017 to build a second headquarters, it set off an unprecedented national economic development competition. The Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce spearheaded the city's initial response to Amazon's request for proposals. The chamber, which is not subject to public records requests because it's not a government entity. Yes, damn it, I'm yelling it. The Chamber of Commerce, as I explained to you all earlier tonight, it's not, you can't get the records from them. Amazon went through the Chamber of Commerce, which relayed it to the government, because the Chamber of Commerce is not a government agency. No, it is not a government agency, but it is an institution. And this is why Dr. Claude Anderson is ready to give up on black folk, because if you have to explain to black people that a HBCU, that a school isn't really the type of institution that we're talking about. That's not where power emanates from. These folk, their institutions are where commerce is done, where money is made, regardless of your level of education. Nobody's asking Jeff Bezos' level of education. Black folk are talking about churches or institutions. Churches are ceremonial institutions. It depends on how much money is coming through the church that determines whether or not it is a civic and social institution. And the Chamber of Commerce has been acting as a special forces secret operation for the purposes of empowering white people and white corporations in Tennessee. Completely opaque, completely unseen. While black folk are talking about HBCUs, that's our claim to fame. Well, Bill Cosby gave money to HBCUs. Bill Cosby gave money to the historically black. Oprah Winfrey gave money to historically black. God, get your dumb ass out of here. Black folk have their dumbest and densest who always want to jump up and say the most silliest nonsense they can come up with. The chamber, which is not subject to public records request because it's not a government entity, is planning to soon release a digital version of the application that is submitted to Amazon on Nashville's behalf. Now, even if they submit the application for the public, by the way, that's not going to disclose all of the emails that they sent. Sending the application, the pitch, that's not what got you the deal. What about all the emails and the conversations that were going on behind the scenes? What about those? Can we see what you said there? Can we hear how that went? Can we hear that part? No? All right. Applicants had about 6 weeks to respond to the initial request, which Courtney Ross, Chief Economic Development Officer for the Chamber, said was pretty typical of other economic development proposals. Amazon made clear that it wanted a single application from each interested city, so the Chamber took the lead for Nashville's bid. So you want to talk about the military-industrial complex? What about the government-industrial complex? The Chamber of Commerce essentially is acting as a de facto pseudo-government institution. When Amazon said we want cities to submit their proposals, the Chamber of Commerce said we will act as the agency on behalf of the city of Nashville. Will you please, brothers and sisters from around the world, stop listening to your dumbass, broke-ass, hoe-ass mama and your dumbass, deadbeat-ass daddy and listen to some sense for a moment? Can you all tell me what is the equivalent of that in black society? Somebody tell me. Name for me the equivalent in black society. In Detroit, tell me the Black Chamber of Commerce that when Quicken Loans wanted to come to Detroit, that they stepped in front of the city council and said, we will take the lead in the proposal to Quicken. When they built that new stadium out there, the new hockey arena, that Little Caesars hockey arena. Tell me that the Black Chamber of Commerce in your 85% majority black city that stepped in front of the city council and said, we will take the lead as the agency in the negotiations and how this proposal will work. Someone tell me where that occurred so that I can get informed. Tell me where it happened while you're giving passes to your dumbass daddy for not doing it. And meanwhile, I'm showing you city after city where this is coming out because, by the way, Nashville was not the only place that this occurred. You want to talk about black institutions? Damn it, we ain't got none. Because if your institutions cannot steer capital and economic financial benefits your way, then they are a non-entity. Let me say that again. You cannot call them an institution if they are unable to steer financial benefits to you. The black church takes financial benefits, gives none. HBCUs suck up financial benefits, they provide none. Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, they are not institutions. They're just a group of niggas hanging out. Courtney Ross goes on to explain she described Amazon's RFP as, quote, more open-minded, encouraging the creative process, but specifically asking about cities' technology sectors. Oh! Amazon wanted to know how technologically capable your city is. We treated this from day one like every project we work on, Ross said. RFPs come in all the time. Through a company or a consultant. This truly was like every other project. It just so happened that everyone knew about it. We knew we would have a great shot because Nashville has a great story to tell. Ross said the Chamber's economic development team was thrilled to learn Nashville made the list of 20 finalists. During the company's 3 visits to Nashville, officials highlighted the city's thriving healthcare and music industries, taking Amazon officials to entertainment districts and arranging meetings with leaders of local universities. Now, brothers and sisters, do you all realize what they chose in these areas? In D.C., you're near the nation's capital, so that speaks for itself. In New York, you are near major universities. New York University, Columbia University. You're in the middle of places where the top students in the world in technology will be graduating from school. You're right there with a big-ass bag to catch them all. But in Nashville, you've got access to a major Ivy League university, Vanderbilt, right there in Nashville. So you don't have to deal with the crazy tax situation in California. You don't have to deal with that. That's the kind of thing we're talking about here. Nashville has 4 HBCUs. Okay, explain to me what good they're doing. That's like saying you got 5 cars, but if all of them have no engine, no transmission, and 4 flat tires, do you really have a car? I don't want people in here talking because they want attention. That's an easy way to get gone. What good is it doing you? So you're starting to see parallels form here. When they talk about the entertainment districts, all they're really talking about is, by the way, you don't have to worry about losing out on some of that metropolitan hanging out-ism that you all are accustomed to in places like California, New York, and other places. So you won't be missing out on that. You'll have places to hang out and get drunk after work. The goal, Ross said, was to educate Amazon about Nashville's culture and business climate. Quote, the whole theme of our sales pitch was Nashville is experiencing incredible momentum and you should come along with us. It was all about look what's going on here, and we told a story of the momentum Nashville has had and is having with our growth trajectory and migration numbers. Migration numbers, if you all remember, you didn't hear it anywhere else, you didn't hear it anywhere else, you didn't hear it anywhere else. The Black Channel was the first place that told you in the documentary Gentrified. It opened. I opened within the first 60 seconds of telling you that the epicenter of gentrification in America was Nashville, Tennessee. And Professor Fraser explained to you that Nashville is getting that Davidson County is getting 100,000 people a year. That they were expecting growth of 1 million people over the course of 10 years. And by the way, y'all, it's 3 years later. It's 3 years later. 3 years later, with the James Robinson building in downtown Nashville, that Hyatt came in and converted it into a boutique hotel. They didn't just convert it into a damn Motel 6. They converted it into a boutique hotel. They want people with money. They want people with money. I need people in the chat room, shut the hell up about the distribution centers. Amazon distribution centers don't mean anything. I really need people to shut up about those. That doesn't really matter. I know some of you are just desperate to seem relevant. The distribution centers are irrelevant. That doesn't matter. That's like saying that Walmart built a distribution center. So damn what? The distribution centers are gonna be mechanized already. They're mechanizing as much as they can. I need folk there to stop talking silly. Folk in the chat room are trying to get attention. You need to just shut up and learn. Now, the point that I'm making about this, the last area down here, well, one of the last areas down here is titled Fierce Competition Among Developers for Amazon's New Nashville Home. In picking Nashville, Briley said, Amazon, quote, saw what a lot of people are saying about Nashville, that it's a good place to invest right now. The local competition for the Amazon office complex was fierce, but the final selection of Nashville Yards as the location was totally up to the company. The River North property north of downtown along the Cumberland River was also explored as a possible location, according to multiple people familiar with the talks. We take the approach of offering sites that meet the requirements that the company specifies, Ross said. We don't just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall to see what sticks. We try to offer sites that fit what they're looking for, and the choice was completely theirs. When Amazon finally made the call on Monday afternoon to Haidt, who spearheaded the proposal for the chamber, Ross said that executives were elated but not surprised. Ralph Schultz, the chamber's CEO and president, said Amazon never formally took HQ2 off the table when discussions started on the 5,000 job center. He said the company's deep research into Nashville during the HQ2 consideration made it an easy transition. He described the company recruitment process as one where Amazon would go back and forth with the chamber for additional information on educational programming, workforce availability, and other considerations. Quote, as we approached this whole thing 14 months ago, the idea was we didn't know whether we're going to get HQ2 or not, but there will undoubtedly be opportunities to spin out of this. So we want to make a good showing so that if HQ2 isn't there, there are other things that are possible. And you all better believe if Amazon builds an operations center, not a distribution center for all the slow kids in class tonight. This isn't a distribution center. This isn't one of the fulfillment centers for the slow kids. This is an operations center. Totally different. Totally different. For those of you that the most you know about Amazon is distribution centers, the fulfillment centers, this isn't what they're talking about. There are no $150,000 jobs at a distribution or fulfillment center. I need the spitball kids in the back of the class to just listen. There are no $150,000 jobs at the fulfillment centers or a distribution center. Just sit down and listen. Black folks see folk get together in a group and first thing they want to do is get attention. Let's get off the pipe. Now, the reason that I brought this up is because I made the definitive documentary about this. And I told you about Tennessee. And for those of you who are talking about Nashville, there is a reason. Do you notice that all three of the places that Amazon chose are on the East Coast? Nothing west of the Mississippi. Everything is on the East Coast. Why is that? This brings you back to Memphis, Tennessee. And I could have told you that Nashville was on the short list to get a big investment from Amazon. But most of you don't understand why. Number one, why is Memphis, Tennessee such an important thing? Why do I keep talking about Memphis when I've been talking about New York, D.C., and Nashville all this time? Because for those of you who didn't know, and that's most of you, 99% of you did not know what I'm about to tell you, Memphis, Tennessee is what is called the population median of America. Memphis, Tennessee is the population median point of America. What does median mean? What that means is that if you lined up every single person in America from one end of the world to the other, the person in the exact middle would be in Memphis. Understand something. Let's get it straight now. It's not just it is a central transportation hub. Memphis is called the population median of America, which is technically what that means is that America has a population of 320 million people, so that roughly 155 million are going to be west of Tennessee and 155 million or so are going to be east of Tennessee, with the rest coming down in that middle. That half the nation's population is to the east, approximately half is to the east of Tennessee, and approximately half of the population of the country is to the west. That is why FedEx built its hub in Memphis. For those of you who don't know, when you ship a package overnight through FedEx, most of those packages are going to fly. Doesn't matter. Like, for example, I'm in Louisiana. If I ship a package overnight to California, which is west, Louisiana is west of Tennessee. California is west of Louisiana. But if I were to ship an overnight package through FedEx, it's going to get on a plane from Shreveport and fly to Memphis. east to Memphis, where they're going to put that package on an even bigger plane that is going to fly either to, Arizona or California. It's either going to go to Arizona or California. But the reason that FedEx has its hub in Memphis is because they sat down and crunched the numbers. So next time some dumbass Negro tells you they don't need to learn how to count, punch that nigga in the mouth. They sat down and did the numbers and said that Memphis is the population median of America, which means that it will put us essentially equal distance from all of our customers. That's why Memphis is essential. That's why FedEx is up the road from Memphis. You're what, an hour or two outside of Memphis. That's why they're up the road from Memphis. They're a 2-hour drive away. That's why they're there. They're one of the big, 10% of FedEx's packages come from Amazon? This makes life a whole lot easier logistically. Not saying that all the packages are going to start coming through Nashville now, because they won't. But the point of the matter is they're near the population median of America now. They've got a major presence there. A major presence now. And I'm looking to see where the black investment is. While folks are out here telling you that everything's going fine, I'm looking to see where the major investment is. Can somebody explain that to me? I've gone ahead and I've opened up the telephone lines. The number is 646-787-1933. That is 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence. The only place where we discuss intelligent black thought. These people are moving major figures here, and you actually have a place where you can talk to somebody and get some reliable information about it. So now you all understand the game is over in New York. Gentrification has won in New York City, and most of you lost before it even got started in the D.C. area. Get ready to tap out in D.C. Get ready. You already couldn't live in D.C. proper, and now as far as Alexandria, Arlington, the rest of those outlying areas, you might as well get ready to tap out. At this point right now, black people are just going to try to scramble to wherever the poorest area of the state is that they can get together in. That's what we're doing right now. And these people were able to get all this stuff done under cover of darkness, and you weren't any the wiser. You just woke up one morning and found out that you've been gentrified. And from here on in, it is just gonna be a slow, ugly slide downward. That's it. From here on in, for black people, it's just a slow, ugly, I say slow, but in a lot of areas, it's gonna be relatively quick. You see, there's a lot of you Negroes out there who are, trying to wear your kente cloths like a do-rag around your heads, and you're trying to act like you're some type of hotep gangsters and that you really got your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the world today. And you've been saying stupid things. You've been saying stupid things like, I don't have to worry about white supremacy or racism. They're all dying out anyway. Stupid things like that. You've been saying crazy, dumb, stupid things. And what I just described to you tonight with just one company is them giving themselves the ability to be the economic majority. They are putting all the pieces in place now. They are going to geographically and physically displace you now, so that even once you gain population majority, hell, black people have already been the majority population in Memphis, in Detroit, in New Orleans. Tell me what good being the majority population did for us. We sit up here and tout these ceremonial titles as if they have physical benefits. These are ceremonial titles. They don't actually mean anything. And when people with some sense try to talk to you about it, all of a sudden Negroes want to start talking dumb. Now, if you believe that we have any black institutions in black society, if you believe the HBCUs have done anything for us, I want you to give me a call up tonight so you can explain to everybody what the HBCUs in Tennessee, what the HBCUs in Georgia, what did they do for us? What did the black church in Nashville, in Tennessee, what has the black church done? Somebody tell me. Remember, all of you were saying that you thought Memphis was safe because Memphis is where a bunch of poor people are at. Oh, black folk are just poor and destitute in Memphis, so we don't have to worry about white supremacy touching us here. White supremacy is about to put hands all over your ass. That's where this is going. That's where this is going. Going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines here. Let me get caller from 985. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, Jason Black. This is DeAndre Mosey.
DeAndre
calling from New Orleans.
DeAndre from New Orleans, what's on your mind?
So I always just wanted to talk about what's going on in Nashville and Memphis because I've been around Nashville for a while, and I've seen like how the skyline literally doubled within the last 2 years. And knowing that Vanderbilt there is also just around the road from there, it's also built up as much as it could be. And because of Memphis, a lot of people think that just because there's black people or poor there, there's a lot of, if you go out to the suburbs to the east, there's a lot of millionaires over there. And all those people are going to benefit from whatever is going to happen with this Amazon deal.
As black people, we don't have a long-term plan. And every single group, if you think that the Amazon second headquarters is a 5-year plan, you're delusional. Anybody who thinks that's a 5-year or 25-year plan, that's delusional. Amazon intends to have a presence in New York the same way that the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building have a presence in New York. They intend to have a presence in D.C. the same way that the Capitol Building and the Washington Monument have a presence in the D.C. area. And in Nashville now, they're staking their claim for the next 100 years. They're staking their claim everywhere that they are going to be the big dog. They're going to be the major employer in that area. They're going to be the shot caller. And here's the point that black folk don't think about because you've been led by your fools and your failures. Do you think that this is the end of the beginning or the beginning of the end? Do you really think that this is the beginning of the last that you're going to see of this? Or do you think that we've just hit the end of the beginning? That this was just the end of the first one? And that when Amazon finishes by the simple fact that Amazon has chosen Nashville, that's going to be a huge flag to companies like Apple and Oracle and Samsung. All of these other technology companies, all of these other 21st century companies are all going to be looking at places like Nashville now. So first you're going to get Amazon. As it's like when they build a Walmart. Walmart is what they call an anchor tenant. It's a major tenant. Every time you go to a Walmart, you realize there are other places built around it. That's the way it works. Walmart is the anchor tenant, and then other smaller businesses build around it. Well, that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening with Amazon. Amazon is going to come in. They're going to be the anchor tenant. They're going to build up, and then other companies are going to come around it. That's the way it's going to be.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't see that but they're going to see that soon. And all the black people who live up in that area don't have a chance of withstanding any of that economic engine driving.
How much economic real estate? How much economic real estate do black people own in Nashville? I have given you all this phrase years ago. How much economic real estate do black people own? With Negroes out here talking about their cars and then really thinking they slick if they talk about a house. I got me a house. Okay, how much economic real estate do you control? None. So you have a house in a neighborhood that's about to get gentrified to hell. Do you understand what's going to happen in New York City and Long Island City with anybody within 5 or 10 miles, definitely within the first 5 miles of these Amazon headquarters? All of you are gone. There's a story here about this white lady talking about her husband has a business there, but that they're not going to be able to stay because they're predicting that everything is about to double. And she's right. It will. How much economic real estate do black people own in Nashville? Do they own in Memphis? If you do not own and control the economic real estate, then it's only going to be a matter of time before you lose access to the physical real estate. That's the way it's going to work.
It's basically going to be exactly what happened to Seattle whenever they built their headquarters over there. All the black community areas that were there were completely erased with corporate offices. And Dr. Claude Anderson recently talked about how he tried to build a black business district in New Orleans in the Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard area. And that was several years ago when Mark Morial was in office. Now I'm seeing I went to that place myself to check it out, check exactly what was going on over there. And you see it now in all these other huge companies that could have been small businesses for black people are moved into the area as anchors. And now those places are going to be completely flooded with other immigrants coming into that area and building out.
I'll let you have the last word.
I just want to say I appreciate all the great information you've provided over the years and all of the bleeding edge information. And Black First. Thank you.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get another call here from 706. You're on live with the Black Channel.
TBA, this is Darius Lamb from North Carolina A&T.
All right, Darius from North Carolina, what's on your mind?
The whole idea of gentrification, this is across the country, whether or not from major city to suburbs. I don't think black people understand. This is not just a New York thing, a San Francisco. TBA, I'm in North Carolina, in Greensboro. It's being gentrified too in the black areas. I used to live in Columbia, South Carolina. It's being gentrified there. No matter where you go, black people are being gentrified everywhere. And by the way, when people talk about I own a house, listen, how come when a bunch of black people move into a neighborhood, the property values go down? Black people don't have no equity. Okay, and the fact that black people do not understand this is the big problem. And my biggest fear is it's too late. Wealth is calcifying. Jeff Bezos is worth 150, about to have 200 billion. They're only gonna get richer, and we gonna get poorer.
Well,
I'm thinking it's too late. Wealth is calcifying.
I've heard that phrase before. I do not agree with I don't agree with the idea that wealth is calcifying. Wealth is certainly consolidated, but to be totally honest with you, you're entering a Darwinistic system. You're entering a Darwinistic period. What you're finding out is that if you have failed to adapt and evolve, you are obsolete. You are in a competitive environment, and the wealth has become competitive. Black people are not ready to compete. We're not. So it just seems like the wealth is frozen. It seems like it's frozen because you're able to see it, but you don't actually have access to it. But then when I ask people basic questions about their own finances, then it becomes very clear why the wealth simply seems frozen. It seems frozen because you don't have access to it. You don't have access to it because you're non-competitive. If you have spent your life, first of all, if you're black and your parents didn't do a damn thing for you, you shouldn't do a damn thing for them because you needed resources so you could compete against these other people who are inheriting resources, which give them a head start in competing. But you got to compete from zero. And instead of black people competing to acquire assets, they instead compete to acquire toys and consumer goods in order to give themselves material therapy. Because black people, I posted this on Facebook yesterday, black people are traumatized by poverty. And this gives me an opportunity to explain about that. Black people as a group, this is why debt is so difficult. We live in a system that runs on your ability to acquire good debt. Let's refer to good debt as credit. But black people have been taught that there's only one type of debt, bad debt, and that all debt is bad, and that the only thing that you can use debt for is to acquire consumer goods, i.e., grown people toys. But that's the only thing that debt is for. If you get a credit card is supposed to be spent for the exact same things that you would pay for monthly. That it somehow extends your ability to purchase consumer goods and household items. Not that credit, we're not taught how to use credit as an economic means to free yourself and liberate yourself. That's not what we get taught. Most black children are raised in impoverished homes, so their impression of all debt is that it's bad. Mama's in debt because she was a slutty hoe who didn't have a plan, and she was living on public assistance, and your goal becomes, can I do better than mama? Which is not a very high-ass bar to clear. Ain't nothing hoe who didn't have nothing. That's not a high bar to clear. That's not a high bar to clear. So that becomes the goal. The goal becomes, can I clear that bar? Well, if mama never had a new car, your goal becomes to get a car, new, used, or otherwise. So Negroes are patting themselves on the back because they've been traumatized by poverty. And if mama never had a car, and if you can get one, well, you're doing better than mama. Now the second generation comes along, but this mama ain't no better because the most she ever had was a used car. Now your goal becomes, by any and all means necessary, get a new car. Now you're not in a position where you can take on that type of debt, but you're in a situation where you're economically strapped. So that's what becomes the next problem. That becomes the next problem. So we're never taught how to economically empower ourselves. You are handcuffed and traumatized by debt. And everybody else is out there trying to figure out how to get it. Everybody else is out there trying to figure out how to get it. Everybody.
I think it has to. I also think that because the fact that you said we were not raised in these households, because we were raised by people who did not necessarily have the expertise. When black people go out into the business world, and I've seen this personally, they have no idea what business is or how business is conducted or how you're supposed to do business, what economics is. It's more than just, okay, put this much money in and hope that the stocks go up. You have to understand the market that you're dealing with. You have to understand the business cycle. And black people are just not that economically and financially literate to fully understand what's going on. My parents used to tell me too, well, just avoid getting out of debt, not understanding yet, yes, there is good debt. The question is, will I be able to have the necessary financial support to be able to get rich, to be able to pay off that debt, which most of us do not have, and we do not have those necessary connections to major real estate and economic brokers to understand the basics of what's going on. I've read a business plan before. I've written this stuff. This stuff is no joke. It's not a game. You have to know your competition, which we don't know. We don't know where we live, so we don't know the overall price index or the overall elasticity of our goods and products and services. We don't know that. So, like, it's really stressful because it's like they don't understand.
And can't be bothered to learn. And because they can't be bothered to learn, they cannot evolve And because they cannot evolve, they cannot survive. And so the wealth seems calcified when in reality you have become stagnant. And as I explained earlier today, stagnation is regression. If you are sitting still, then you are in fact moving backwards. There is no such thing as sitting still. You're either moving forward or you're falling behind. I'll let you have the last word.
The final words that I have to say is, no matter where we are, no matter what space we enter, we need to have a black agenda. I don't care if you're working at Amazon. You need to be able to have some sort of agenda so we can get some sort of wealth and economic resources. We need to be able to get those necessary loans and avocations for our businesses. It's sad that we as black people will condemn other black people for trying to start a black business or trying to advocate for our best interests, but we support people who are inherently detrimental. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Please do give us a call again. Somebody in the chat room said that we don't do business with each other. Brothers and sisters, the real shame of it is not only do we not do business with each other, we don't even brainstorm with each other. We don't even brainstorm with each other. I mean, even if you don't have the money, you should be sitting around formulating a plan. Even if you do not have the money, you should at least be formulating a plan. Okay, here's our plan to get the money. Here's our plan to get the means. We will meet back here in 6 months. Here's what we need. Here's what we got to do. Are we all committed to it? Yes, we are. Okay, let's get to it. We'll see you back here in 6 months. So not only do we not even discuss business, we don't even brainstorm. Negroes want to brainstorm about getting a car. They want to brainstorm about consumer goods, but they're not trying to brainstorm about getting free, about how to compete so that Amazon moving into the city doesn't frickin' disinherit you and displace you. That's the problem that we have. Not only are we scared about it, we're scared to do business. We're scared to even sit up here and fight properly. We don't even make a plan. We don't even make a plan. Let me get caller from 615. You're on live with the Black Channel. Caller from 615, last try. Hello. You're on live.
How you doing, Jason? This is Mark from Nashville.
Mark from Nashville, what's on your mind?
Yes, I would just like to say that you are right on point with the things that you were saying about how people here in Nashville, especially black people, are not even able to afford to live here. I watch people that have lived here for the last 20 years, and they're just fleeing out of the city, moving to places like Clarksville, Murfreesboro. And even when they go to those places, they can't even afford to live there because they're jacking the prices up there. So I just want to call and say that you are right on point, sir.
I mean, but hey, next up is Chattanooga. I've been calling Chattanooga now for 2 years. When I see Nashville is on its way to getting built out. Next up is going to be Memphis or Chattanooga. And I'm telling a lot of people, keep your eyes on Chattanooga because they don't actually understand how close, because Nashville is a long state, but north to south, it's not very tall. And so there's not really a big distance between Nashville and Chattanooga or Memphis. So what I'm saying is that Nashville is becoming a major hub. A bunch of people are going to get chased out of there. And when that happens, that's going to make an even bigger problem. Those other places are where they're going to get chased to. I'm calling it now.
Yes, sir. You're exactly right. And again, there's another point you made also about saying that those jobs weren't just for people that live here in the United States. I have firsthand knowledge. The high school that I went to had 32 different nationalities. It's a school called Hillsborough High School in the middle of Green Hills. And even back then, this is almost 20 years ago, there was grooming Nashville for international business. Any refugee that was out there, they brought them to that school. So like I said, those jobs that what you're talking about, then you're exactly right. They're not just for people that are in a higher bracket, but they're for people all over the world. And as quiet as it's kept, Nashville has always been a hub for people all over the world. This is not just something that just happened within the last 5 years. This is something they've been planning for a long time.
I'll let you have the last word.
Well, I just want to say I thank you for having the chance to be able to speak on your broadcast. And I've been listening to you for about the last year now. And I'm glad I was able to find this broadcast, and I will continue to listen and be one.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Some of the people who are going to be watching this live or watching this recorded later, you're going to realize that there's a bunch of folk in the chat room, and they're trying to talk about everything but what we're talking tonight. Man, you shouldn't be calling them hoes. Hey, what about the Jews? And, you know, this one crazy clown in here talking about Babylon magic. So these are individuals who, like I say, when you don't have a plan, you start focusing on other things. We're here to talk about the problem. Man, that ain't the problem. The problem ain't Amazon, and the problem ain't the economy. The problem is that you call me a hoe. That's the problem. The problem ain't Jeff Bezos. The problem is you said something I didn't like. This is what happens in black society. So if you are told to call in, if they ask for your area code in the chat, you're supposed to call up. If you do not call in, then you'll be removed. So anybody who puts their area code in the chat, if you're not on the line, just understand, if I don't get you on the phone, the mods are just going to remove you, because that'll be an issue. Anybody who wants to discuss that, you're going to be required to call up. Simple as that. If you don't, then you'll be removed. And you should be. Caller from 843, you're on live with the Black Channel. Caller from 843, get off the pipe. Last try, you're on with live with the Black Channel.
Hello, Jason Black. Can you hear me?
Yes, get off the pipe. You've been called twice now. What's your name, where you're calling from?
Hello, my name is Arthur, and I'm calling from South Carolina.
Arthur from South Carolina, what's on your mind?
I've been watching your channel for a long time now, for about a month, and I just want to say that you have completely changed my life, the way I look at things now. And I've been listening to you, Dr. Claude Anderson, Professor Black Truth. Man, you guys have really opened my eyes. And, man, Black people really need to get on code. Amazon is really putting Black people in a bad position because we keep allowing, petty things like our differences, and we keep getting into all these other distractions like religion or other topics to keep us from facing white supremacy head on. And it keeps us from focusing on our economics, getting our communities together, networking, forwarding our causes, and it constantly keeps us in the same state. And I actually wanted to ask you some advice. I wanted to get into IT because I listened to one of your older broadcasts, and you were talking about how you don't even really need to get into college to get programming. And I know it's kind of off topic, but I was kind of wondering if I could get your advice on that.
Okay. Well, definitely you can see what Amazon is doing. You can see what Apple is doing. You can see what everybody else is offering. If you are not trying, if you're a young person, particularly in your 20s, and you aren't trying to get an IT, computer programming, if you're not trying to do that, what the hell are you doing with your life? You're going to miss out on everything.
Right.
That's where it's at. This idea that because I'm in my 40s now, and when I was 20 or whatever, everybody wanted to get a job at, quote, the plant. That's what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no General Motors plants anymore to get a job at like that. They closed a bunch of theirs. So the idea I'm going to get a job at the plant, that's obsolete. You have to have a skill set that is going to allow you to do that. That's what you're going to have to do.
Right.
You have to have a skill set that allows you. The idea that you are going to be an entry-level employee and that is going to get you economically set for life, that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a day and age where you could go to work for a corporation for 20, 30 years and retire. Those days are pretty much extinct, and they have been for a while. So it's no longer about, can I work for a corporation for 20 or 30 years? The goal now is, can I remain economically competitive for 20 or 30 years? But what that means is you got to put your chips on the right skill set now. The skill set that you can invest in for 10, 20 years that will keep you afloat for the next 10, 20 years.
Right, because I have to be honest, before I started listening to you guys, I have to be honest, I was kind of in la-la land. But when I listened to you, Professor Black Truth, it really made me want to get a skill set that could make me competitive so that I can earn capital. And, most black folks, they just want to get a comfortable job somewhere, a comfortable position. But, the time for that, like you said, is running out. And we really need a skill set that can allow us to be able to not have to worry about something like Amazon coming and then we're screwed. So I kept listening, and I did research on computer programming because I definitely think black people need to get more into that and other things like the trades. And, it's just getting really bad out here. There's really not a whole lot of job opportunities here, especially in South Carolina. So I definitely, I really appreciate you guys, you, Dr. Claude Anderson, all of you, for inspiring me and many other black people out there.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Please do give us a call again. I'm going to get a caller from 770. They're very eager to speak to us. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm calling in, Jason. I'm a big fan of yours.
That's very nice to hear. Now, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, sir. My name is Janessa, and I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
And how old are you, Janessa?
I'm 33.
She's 33 years old. Now, we've been talking about a lot of things here on the Black Channel tonight. Now, why exactly did you need to call up?
I guess what made you ask for me to call up was you were talking about empowerment, and that they were talking about that in the chat as well. And I mentioned that as a black community, we should retire the N word, and then also referring to women as bees and hoes. And what kind of also made me think about that was, I think in the chat earlier, you had called someone a slutty hoe. And I'm a fan of yours, don't get me wrong. But I did mention that in the chat, and I guess maybe that offended you because you were talking about empowerment in a different way, I'm going to say. So that's when you asked for me to call in, and here I am.
Okay. And do you see any errors or problems in what you did?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Do you see any errors or any problems in what you did?
I do.
Oh, good. Please do tell.
You're talking about a specific topic. Yes, I'm sorry. Huh?
Please do tell. Go ahead.
No, I do see the errors in what I did. I kind of like overstepping the message that you're trying to convey. And, looking back now, I guess I didn't realize it at that time. But I do recognize it and acknowledge it.
Okay. Now, a very brief lesson here about priorities. If you go to a grocery store, if you go to Whole Foods and it says Whole Foods out front, do you then walk up to the manager of the cash register complaining that, man, where's the VCR? Okay, not VCR. Where y'all TVs at? Where the iPhones at in here? Where's your electronics section? It says Whole Foods. You go to Best Buy, the electronics store. You go up in there, man, where's the produce section? I'm looking for the produce section up here. Where you keep the avocados? What y'all need to do is get some avocados in here. You go to
Amazon's doing it.
You
working
go
for them.
Okay. Whole Foods, Best Buy. When was the last time you went to Home Depot complaining, where are the dresses? I'm looking for a Gucci belt. Where's the dress for the Gucci belt? Okay. But understand, this is a place, and I want to put a spotlight on this. No, everybody's afraid I'm going to do the black Ayatollah thing. No, I'm not going to do the black Ayatollah thing. No. What I'm going to do is turn this into a learning opportunity, because understand something. The only people who get upset when you call sluts and hoes are sluts and hoes. Now, of course, they're never going to put on a t-shirt that says, look, I'm a slut and a hoe, and I took great offense at you using that language. Because, you see, I'm not a deadbeat dad. I don't get upset at people calling fellas deadbeat dads. I'm not one. I don't get upset about people calling.
I'm not one either.
Okay, Janessa, pump your brakes. You're already exhibiting your problem. Just right there, you just did it. Right there. It took exactly 2 seconds for you to manifest your problem. Right there. Now, you see, I don't get upset when people call folk coons, because I'm not one. And you will never see me go into a chat room saying, you all need to stop calling folk coons. Well, if you're not a coon, why are you upset about it? So what you're saying is irrational. You wouldn't get upset unless you know in your heart, yeah, it refers to you. You know that's you. And that's why, of all the things that were said, you didn't mention anything about anything else. People can go back and go check your comments in the chat. You didn't mention anything else. When it came to that, all of a sudden you registered an opinion. You didn't register an opinion on any of the other myriad of things I mentioned. When that was mentioned, all of a sudden, excuse me, ma'am, your strongest opinion, you made a couple of comments. You didn't register an opinion trying to tell other people what they should do. Your suggestion for a, quote, solution for black society was, y'all need to stop calling sluts and hoes, sluts and hoes. Jeff Bezos and friends are overrunning New York, D.C., Nashville. We're being economically gentrified to hell, which is what this whole broadcast has talked about. But your priority was, yeah, I know that's happening, but the real problem is y'all need to stop calling sluts and hoes, sluts and hoes. That's the real problem.
I respect you too much to argue with you on that, though.
But it's not an argument. It's not an argument. You're acting like people can't just scroll back up and go see what you said. Of all the things that you could have posited as a solution, since you had a problem with something, the only solution that you offered to anything was, y'all need to stop calling sluts and hoes, sluts and hoes. Okay, Janessa, we're going to stop calling you slutty hoes, slutty hoes. Now explain to me how that's going to stop.
So why are you so offended?
Janessa, stop. Janessa, no, you're the one who's offended. You're the one who got offended. I said it and you got in the chat saying, y'all need to stop calling sluts and hoes, sluts and hoes. Why did you get so triggered by that? Why did that bother you unless you're a slut? Why did that bother you?
So I'm married and I have kids.
Okay,
so
that's not answering my question.
Okay.
That's not answering my question. If you're not a slut or a hoe, why did it bother you?
I don't know. I need to reflect on that.
Okay, you don't. Okay, actually, you don't need to reflect on it. And I'm not going to embarrass you, but what I'm saying is when you're going to get on my phone and be dishonest, no, don't do that. You do know why it bothers you. And I'm not going to sit here and drag you through the mud about it, but don't sit up and give that answer. You do know why it bothers you. And that's a personal issue that you got to deal with in yourself. But the idea that you're going to come among other grown people and try to police the words that they use as if that's, okay, I can see how you're acting, so we see exactly what you are. You got upset over sluts and hoes.
Speaking fast and over talking.
We said sluts and hoes and you got upset. All the things we talked about tonight, but sluts and hoes bother you.
I'm starting to be embarrassed now because this is crazy.
Okay, because you should be. But you should be. Because you got upset over hearing sluts and hoes, but you claim you're not one. Of all the things that could have bothered you, that bothered you. Nothing else bothered you to the point that you felt you wanted to try to police what other people say. But when that one happened, all of a sudden you got triggered. You snitched on yourself. Oh, no, you snitched on yourself. And I'm just bringing it to your attention. By the way, you snitched on yourself. Because if somebody called me, even if somebody called me something as crazy as a white supremacist, I would sit there and say, okay, that was weird. But I wouldn't get offended or tell them that they need to stop saying that. I say, you need to stop saying this so you stop sounding crazy. But I wouldn't say, black folk, the solution is we need to stop calling sluts and hoes sluts and hoes. Are you sure that the solution isn't that we need to get our credit together? Because I know this, I talked about credit and you didn't say a word about that.
Part of it.
Okay, but you didn't say it. But you didn't say that. But you didn't say it. So why didn't you talk about that?
Jason, it was just my opinion.
Yeah, I said sluts and hoes one time. I talked about credit for minutes on end. You didn't say a word about credit.
Well, you said it about 7 or 8 times now, so...
Okay, well, you responded to it. You responded to it only being said once. I talked about credit for minutes on end. You didn't say, we really need to get our credit together.
Jason's getting out of control, but all right.
The person who got triggered at hearing sluts and hoes is trying to project and deflect. And I'm bringing it to your attention that was a bad look for you. As an alleged not slut or hoe, that was a bad look because that was really sounding like dry snitching. Nothing else triggered you until you heard that. And you're here to stick up for all the sluts and hoes to say, you guys put some respect on their names.
Not all of them.
Which sluts and hoes? Okay, you said not all of them. Okay, so there are some sluts and hoes you are sticking up for. Which ones? I'm asking.
Jason, I like when you talk about actual things that matter.
Okay, sluts, but it would matter enough for you to respond to it. I mentioned it and kept going. You were the one who got triggered and got in the chat room and derailed everything to talk about that.
And I didn't want to get banned. I didn't want to get banned because I like listening to you.
Right, and I'm bringing it to your attention so that you can remain. I want you to remain a person people can respect. I want you to remain a person that people can respect because you became one that they couldn't because you got triggered to defend the sluts and hoes. And I just want to know why we should defend the sluts and hoes. Why do we got to put respect on their names?
I'm just looking at them as women. I'm not categorizing into sluts, hoes, wives, or whatever.
Okay, so what you mean is that you don't make any distinction between queens and hoes. To you, they're all the same. So queens and hoes are the same. You just said that. You literally just said it. You literally just said the words, I don't do that. They're just all women to me. So to you, sluts, hoes, queens, they're all the same.
No, they're not.
Yeah, okay. Then what's the distinction?
Are you done?
Why are you upset? Why are you getting exasperated about defending sluts and hoes? Why don't you just say, you know what? There are sluts and there are hoes, and I'm not going to say I'm dry snitching on myself, wink, wink, but I'm not going to sit up here and say that in the future. Just say that instead and just be like, okay. Because it's not like we can't all see it. I'm not slut shaming you. I'm just saying stop talking to us like we're dumb. It's not like we can't all see it. You can sit there and sigh and everything else. I mean, slut sigh, okay. But it's not like we can't see it. Just be what you are. If you're going to get triggered about it, okay, just be like, hey, I'm representing all the sluts and hoes and I'm triggered. and just let it be what it's gonna be. I didn't tell you have to stop doing it. I didn't say you have to stop doing it. I'm just saying, hey, just be what you are. If you're gonna be a slut and a hoe, just say, hey, look here, I'm standing up for the sluts and hoes. Okay, well, I can respect that. I have white supremacists who call me up. I didn't try to debunk their white supremacy. No,
hold on. I have a question. Are you calling me a slut and a hoe?
I'm saying that only sluts and hoes get offended at hearing sluts and hoes.
No, hold on, back up. That's a yes or no. Are you calling me, someone you don't know, a slut and a hoe?
If you're offended at hearing sluts and hoes, probably.
No, it's a yes or a no.
It is a if you are offended at it, yes. If it offends you, yes.
I'm offended because you're projecting that on me.
But you're the one who said it first. And I didn't say it. You're the one who got offended at it and upset and triggered in the chat room. So if you're the one who got triggered, you're trying to say, I'm triggered. No, you were the one who said it first. Nobody was complaining except you. So it's something about saying those words really pricked you the wrong way and really triggered you. And if you're not a slut or a hoe, it shouldn't have triggered you. Now you're trying to say, no, I'm not a slut or a hoe, but I'm triggered. I'm triggered at sluts and hoes.
And constructive. What should I do about it?
You should be the best slut and the best hoe you can be.
Oh my goodness.
That's what you should do. Be the best you can be. I'm not here to judge what you do. Just be the best you can be at it, and don't try to police the rest of us about it and get stuck on it. We said that and kept moving. You got stuck on it. You got stuck and it held your mind captive so long that you had to sit there and keep commenting on it.
What am I supposed to do with that piece of information?
Okay,
what am I supposed to do with that?
Okay,
I'm married with 3 kids.
You keep saying that.
What am I going to do with that piece of information you gave me?
Okay, you keep saying that you're married and got kids. You keep saying, I'm married, I'm married.
What am I supposed to do with what you just said? How is that constructive in my life? Tell me.
Wow, you have to ask why? It makes you a more honest person.
Is that what you would tell your daughter?
No, it makes you a more honest person. Don't let your man be married to a liar. Just be, hey, this is straight up, this is what I am. This is what I rep. This is what I represent. Okay. I can't do anything but respect that. Cardi B, Offset can't get mad at her. He knows what the hell he's marrying. Anybody who marries Nicki Minaj, you know what the hell you're marrying.
Me and Cardi B have nothing in common at all. So
well, I almost digress on. I won't touch that one, but
you don't know me. So.
All right. I don't know you, so everything we've heard about you, that we don't know. So we're just guessing, even though you just told us. But everybody's still guessing. So even though you're talking, we still don't know what we're hearing. Really? I didn't try to embarrass you. I was just saying, hey, you already said what you said. You need to rep that. Stand on it. Just stand by what you said. Don't back down from it now. Just stand by it and stand by the motive that prompted you to ignore everything else that was said and to get stuck on that one to the point you want to try to police other people's statements. Of all the things that could have stuck in your craw, that one did. And I'm just saying, stand on it. That's all. I'll let you have the last word.
Be first.
Black first, sister.
Thank you, Jason.
If you're going to be a hoe, be the best hoe you can be. If hearing hoe and slut triggers you, just be honest about it. Be honest and just say, hey, this is what I'm repping. Okay, I got my vagina resume look like a rap sheet. My rap sheet got felonies all over the place. Hey, let it be what it's going to be. I'm not here to judge that. But when we're having a discussion about economic terrorism and economic gentrification and of all the things that upset you, when I said these sluts and hoes not preparing their children to economically compete, man, you need to quit calling them sluts and hoes. That's the solution. So all the things I said about credit, that didn't stick with you. All the things I said about economic competition, that didn't stick with you. But when I said that, right when you said that, now that's the problem right there, is we need to quit talking that way. That's the problem right there. You need to quit talking. So how we talk is the problem. Not what we do. Not what we do. That's not the problem. How we talk is the problem. not what we do. Now, I'm just saying, if you're guilty conscience, if you got a guilty conscience and it's rough on you, then you need to deal with that guilty conscience. Because your guilty conscience, when you heard hoes and sluts, hey, you got to go check him. See if you can make him back down like other people you might be related to or in a relationship with. See if you can get him to knuckle under. You know, I didn't like that you said hoes and sluts. Oh, okay, let me change my vocabulary to make you happy. No. You need to reconcile with your resume. You need to reconcile with your resume. Just saying. Caller from 410, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Jason, this is Francis from Randallstown, Maryland.
Good God Almighty. Francis, where in the world have you been?
You know what? Every time I wake up, either I wake up or I'm not here. And so your broadcast is gone off or you're not on. I just can't keep up with you. But I haven't listened to some of it. Before I ask you anything, or before I say anything, will you be selling Race War Wholesale? Do you plan to do that?
Of course. We're finished. What happened here, I've been getting inundated with requests about Race War. I'm planning on having it available here within the next 7 business days. We're coming into Thanksgiving, but right after the Thanksgiving holiday, I should have it available here in November. What happened is because I saw it, and I'm not going to lie to you all, it really kind of bothered me a little bit. There were a couple of things that were not in the theatrical version that everybody saw, and people were asking about a director's cut, and in reality, all my movies are the director's cut. But I saw a few things I didn't like, or some things I felt could be improved, so I went back and I did another edit of the film. And that is what is going on DVD. So I actually went back and did a brand new edit on the film, and that's going to be what you all get on the DVD for the DVD theatrical release.
So, do you have the email I can get in touch with you so I can get some information?
Of course, the same one you've been.
I have a bad connection here for some reason.
Well, the same one you've been using, babe.
The same one?
Yes.
Okay.
The same one.
Now, there's another thing I want to ask you. I want to tell you. I'm getting weekly mail from businesses, like home buyers, and they're not selling. But this is weekly. Is that a part of this approach or agenda to gentrify? Is this where they begin sometimes, Jason?
Yes. I mean, they're always fishing.
Huh?
Yes, they're always fishing. You think that your neighborhood is inconsequential, and you couldn't be more wrong. Everywhere. Gentrification is not an issue in New York or Los Angeles. It's an issue everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a relative issue everywhere. So, no, it is everywhere. They're always testing the waters. They're always testing the temperature. They got a 20-year plan. So you're looking at where your city is today. They're looking at where it's going to be 20 years from now. And getting your property today on the cheap and sell it for 10 times that amount in 20 years, yeah, that's exactly where you want to be.
Yeah, I was discussing that with some neighbors because they're having the same problems. Of course, I've contacted them and tried to straighten them out. Not that that works. Let them know I know they're up to something that's not good. Another thing, I noticed something else. Most white people in Randallstown, in this section where I'm at, moved at least 18 years ago. And therefore, they were not in most of the stores around, especially the supermarkets. Now I'm beginning to see them come into the stores in pretty heavy numbers. So something is up with that.
Of course. I mean,
why
when you
are they back here and they're not really living here?
No, it's called colonialism. It's colonizing. It's called colonialism. When they had that video of the guy who sat there, remember when they had the video years ago, the white guy who was arguing with this other white fella, he was like, I settled this area of town for you people. The white guy arguing with another white guy talking about he's been here all these years. I settled this part of town for you people.
Okay.
When you see white, I put this in 7 a.m. in Philadelphia, when I showed the white woman jogging, I was like, got it in real time. This white woman jogging past this sign talking about real estate for sale. That's it. In Harlem, when you see the little white women with their little poodle dogs walking around. Yeah, that's it. It's not just a change of culture. They're letting you know that they are settling this area. When they go out jogging, you call the police don't show up. The white woman calls the police and says she's out jogging and she feels nervous. Next thing you know, squad cars start circling around. Things you could never get done. So yeah, that's the way that goes. So they are settling your neighborhoods.
I know they're up to something that's no good. And so I know that, and I really am, I don't want them near me. I try not to be near them.
Well,
but for fear something may happen.
That's easier said.
That's a real concern of mine.
That's easier said than done, because you might not be looking for this fight, but this fight is looking for you. So there really isn't a place to run. All we can do is bolster our defenses. I'll let you have the last word.
I'm aware of that. Yes. I am aware of it.
Well, I'll let you have the last word, Francis.
Well, Jason, all I'm going to say is I'll be talking to you soon. I have a bad connection, and I'll send you an email because I am interested in getting out some of those discs for you.
All right, dear. Well, thank you very much for checking in with us. We missed you.
Black first.
Black first, sister.
All right, bye.
My good little friend there, Francis. I hadn't heard from her in a while. Oh, I'm getting soft and mushy on here. Let me get firm back up. Caller from 317. You're on live with the Black Channel. Caller from 317. Where are you at? Put the meth down.
Oh, sorry about that.
Wake the hell up. Where are you from? What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Joseph. I'm calling from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Joseph from Indianapolis. What's on your mind?
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wanted to speak on a wider theme. I'm a truck driver, and at a lot of these truck stops, I see predominantly our young black women, and they're predominantly prostitutes, and it's very disturbing. And it's I just started trucking. I'm 21. I just was it's just I don't understand. They don't have. Do you not have any other better options than to fucking sell their bodies to old white men? It's very disturbing, man. I just wanted to share that little tidbit.
I called it what it is years ago. It's called whorehouse culture. When mama was a hoe and a slut, the daughter picks up on that. She picks up on this idea that there is power in her vagina. The problem is you become a one-trick pony. And they don't have confidence in themselves outside of sex. That sex is their confidence center. They don't feel confident that they can contribute or have any value outside of it. So when you start talking about IT computing and nursing and things like that, they don't have confidence in that. You can talk about them as abstract concepts, but these hoes ain't got they don't have any confidence in their ability to do any of those things. They do have confidence in their ability to turn sex tricks. And they come from a family of it. So that's where their confidence is. This is the result of whorehouse culture. This is the result of I don't need a man. This is the result of government is your daddy. You have a bunch of girls out here who are essentially helpless because there ain't enough white zaddies and enough white sugar daddies to go around, dude. There aren't. There aren't. Even if the white guys were willing to take them on, which they aren't, there aren't enough of them to go around. So what you are seeing are a bunch of chicks who don't have a game plan. There's no game plan. None at all. Prostitution has never been something with a future. You never heard of anybody who retired comfortably after 20 years of hoeing, if you made it that long. So no, brother, they don't have a plan. Now, you know, when it comes to prostitution, that's really a result of drug use. So you got a lot of chicks out here. Mama was on the pipe. They're messed up in the head. And the girls are just listless and helpless out here. And they have access to the internet, which has given them lessons from higher priced hoes. But while they're trying their own pathetic, very weak, lame imitation of higher priced hoes, the problem is they don't have access to the same caliber of white men. So you just have a bunch of chicks out here wasting themselves. And that's all. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, I want to give you your respect and your props. I've been listening since you since I was in high school. You've really helped guide my thinking and shape my perspective of the world. And I'm a long time supporter, and I'll continue to listen. And I appreciate what you do. That's it.
Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Please do give us a call again here. Brothers and sisters, if you fail to plan, then you're just planning to fail. That's it. If you fail to plan, then you have planned to fail. And there are a bunch of people who are going to find themselves in that situation. A bunch of them. And the daughters are suffering for the lack of planning from the mothers and the fathers. The daughters are suffering for that. And that's a shame, because now one slut had two daughters. Both of them are sluts. Now the two daughters have had 3 kids of their own. Now we got 6 hoes running around black society. All of them equally clueless. Equally clueless. I'm going to take one more call here. Let me get caller from 323. You're on live with the Black Channel. Caller from 323, California, California, California. You're on live with the Black Channel. And this is why California is done. By the way. And this is why California is done. For those of you who are late joining us tonight, for whatever your reasons might be, if you're taking a look on your screen right there, you are witnessing the area of Queens in New York, known as Long Island City. And you are looking at the 2 areas where Amazon intends to set up their second headquarters. And right on the other side of the river, on the left-hand side of the screen in the upper left-hand corner, that's Manhattan. In the lower corner of the screen, that's Brooklyn. Well, there's no reason for me to sit up here and do that about it. Let me just go ahead and show that to you here. There's Manhattan. There's Queens. At the bottom there's Brooklyn. And I want you to be aware. I want you to be aware of what you're looking at. I want you to be aware that this is what an economic super bomb looks like. This is what an economic super bomb looks like. It looks like this. And all of the game playing, all of the hoeing and slutting, all of the churching, all of the HBCUing, all of the dancing and jiving, all the bastard baby making. Black people have been eradicated from Manhattan. You're being pushed out of Brooklyn. All those places that Biggie Smalls and Jay-Z and friends used to rap about in the 90s, they are all gone now. All of them are gone. All of them are gone. Those are just things that were talked about as anachronisms. That's it. That's it. Let me get caller from 410. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, Jason, this is Chuck from Baltimore.
All right, Chuck from Baltimore, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I was pretty much just calling to kind of say one of the major issues with the black community and why we're in a bind economically, in my opinion, would be we're not willing to take a chance on each other as far as when ideas are presented. Because I remember when I first came out of high school, I was trying to get into tech because I've been doing that since pretty much when I was 9. And there was this one older lady who just let me design her website, and she paid me for it, and she liked it, and she just pretty much ran with it and told all her friends. And 10 years later, she's still one of my top clients. So I feel like once we stop shooting down whatever someone brings to the table that looks like us, we should fully embrace it.
Well, I agree with what you're saying there, but I want to introduce a different concept to that. You are never going to be able to be competitive in white society until you demonstrate that you have mastered competition within black society. If you can't dominate, and I'm using the word that I mean to use, how are you going to become dominant in white society when you've been unable to dominate in black society? So charity begins at home and spreads abroad, but so does empowerment. I've been telling you all that for weeks now. Charity begins at home and spreads abroad, so does empowerment. And before you can do that, you're going to have to become dominant in your own home, on your own block, in your own family, around your own, where you are. You got to start there. What that means is that nothing's going to be given. Nothing is going to be given at all. So it would be nice if black folk just naturally work together. That would be wonderful. We don't have that. So what you're going to have to do is become dominant in and of yourself. Now you can take that dominance and go buy money, hoes, and clothes, or you can take that dominance and acquire assets and start to change the environment around you. But one, you're either going to get busy living or get busy dying. Those are really your only two choices. But I would like to submit a new philosophy, which is if we really want to compete with the outside society, with an uncooperative black society, you are going to have to dominate that uncooperative black society first. Demonstrate you can do that, and then you'll get the other parts in place also. I'll let you have the last word.
Well said, and B1.
Black First, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from 313. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Yeah, this is Vaughn from Detroit. You know, there's something suspicious with this whole Amazon thing. They put these bids in all across the country, collecting all this information from these cities, and they still pick New York and D.C., the highest end parts of the country to open up a business.
No.
And they get a lesser deal. Michigan, Detroit, and the state of Michigan offered them $5 billion in tax relief.
Okay, but do you see the
land
problem
here
with
is
that?
like dirt cheap.
But okay, but that's the problem. The problem is the land there is dirt cheap. So we'll pay you $5 billion to move to a worthless area. That's not smart business. When you build a McDonald's or a Burger King, do you want to build one out in the woods, or do you go try to find the most poppinest corner in the city to build your restaurant at? This idea that that's what I explained at the beginning of the program. When you're bringing this, we need to build a car plant. Okay, a car plant can be built out in the middle of nowhere. A chemical plant can be built out in the middle of nowhere. If you are building your corporate headquarters, you need it to be in the middle of the action. So yes, they are the second biggest, they're not the third, they're second biggest corporation in the world. What would they look like moving to Detroit, which is the hub of nothing? What would they look like? So wait. They've got the money to move to prime real estate. They're not trying to be the biggest dog in a bad neighborhood. They're trying to be the biggest dog in the best neighborhood. And the best neighborhood is New York, LA, and DC, not Detroit. Detroit just filed bankruptcy a few years. Detroit just filed bankruptcy a few years ago. If you build a headquarters in Detroit, what of significance or relevance are you near? What?
Yet, none of the big three has left this area.
Well, but why would they? Yes, they have. Yes, they have. They've all left. General Motors filed.
They're still here.
Okay, first of all, people, do you all hear this guy? Chrysler is no longer even American owned. It's owned by Fiat. They left years ago, and you didn't notice it. General Motors filed bankruptcy. They left years ago, and you didn't notice it. The buildings are still there. General Motors fled years ago. Cadillac's headquarters is in
General Motors.
Cadillac's headquarters. No,
Detroit.
General Motors.
They moved the division, but Cadillac is moving back to Detroit.
No,
Cadillac is coming back.
General Motors General Motors building is in Detroit. General Motors ain't running anything out of there anymore. Dude, come on! We can't be this slow.
Here.
Ford is trying to figure out how to get to Mexico. They literally just had a damn knockdown drag out with the President of the United States talking about we want to be in Mexico. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, Negroes are just behind on we're just pulling up the rear. Well, you know, back in the 50s, we was running things. Okay. What you're talking about was relevant in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. It's over. One of the companies you mentioned filed bankruptcy. The other one is no longer even American. Literally, Chrysler is no longer even American owned. It's an Italian corporation now. And you talking about the big three are still here. No, they're not.
Yeah, their American operation headquarters is still here.
Okay, what else?
Detroit area.
Okay, what else you got besides the old auto industry? A declining auto manufacturing industry. What else does Detroit have other than that?
What more do you need? You got the top industry in the world, auto making cars. You got American.
Wait a minute.
Cars.
Did you just? You just said
all their subsidiaries.
You just said that auto manufacturing is the top industry in the world?
Mm-hmm. What's after that? Everything is based on those cars. Gas and oil is based off those cars. There's not a planet, there's not a country in the world doesn't have cars coming in. Cars is the number one industry in the world. And everything is based off of it. That oil and gas is based off that car. So it is.
I'm going to turn this down for a moment. Let me get my Pepto-Bismol here, if you all don't mind.
What's number one then? Oil?
I need to get my Pepto-Bismol right quick. Let me, yeah, I needed to get that right. Hold on. Okay. Vaughn?
Yes.
I'll let you have the last word.
Okay. Buy black. If you can't buy black, build black.
Thank you for your call. If you all want to know why black society is in the condition that it's in, if you want us to encapsulate and summarize exactly why we are in the state that we are in today, let that phone call be the quintessential example of why we're in the spot we're in today. I tapped out. I wasn't even going to argue with him. I tapped out. I'm just sitting there. Okay, I'm so astounded. I can't even argue this. I'm not even going to attempt to correct this. That was a flat earther. That was a flat earther on my phone. That guy was arguing for a flat earth. And by the way, you all know I know Vaughn, so I mean that was flat earth. That was literally flat earth on the phone right now. That was flat earth. That was it. If you want to know why we are in the situation that we're in, that was it. If you want to know why Google went to New York and D.C. and Nashville, there it is right there. If you want to know why Detroit had to file bankruptcy and why they didn't take in Dr. Claude Anderson, that was it right there. Right there. Right there. That was it. There you go. I don't have anything else to say to that one. If you want to know why the Black Channel is essential, that phone call right there. We need a wholesale. If anything illustrates the absolute abysmal failure of Black parenthood, Black schools, Black politicians, the Black media, the old Black media. If anything illustrates how big of a failure those have been, that phone call illustrates it beautifully. That phone call illustrates the reason why. That was it. That was it. Right there. Everybody else on earth is pursuing the opportunities of the 21st century, and we got Negroes who haven't even caught up to the 20th century yet. When I told you that we're done in New York, that was the reason why. We're done. We're done. We're through. That's it. We're through and that's it. And you're not going to be able to make it. You won't. You're not going to be able to make it. We got Black folk who are unprepared to compete in New York, talking about they want to move to New York and pursue a career, pursue their rap career. You're not prepared to compete. You don't have a proper view of the world. You don't know what's relevant in order to be able to compete. This is what we're up against. This is it. This fella saw Amazon, he saw Apple, he saw Samsung, he saw Comcast, and he saw General Motors file bankruptcy and then said, but this is the #1 industry in the world. He wants a job at the plant, and they ain't building no more plants. And by the way, that's the kind of fella that would tell a Black woman that she needs to shut the hell up and let him lead. Oh no, brothers, I got to take out the hickory and slap you with it. I got to do it. Corporal punishment. I got to do it. How do you expect the women to have confidence in the men when the men are saying stuff like this? Women aren't even automotive savvy, and even women understand that what he said was nonsense. Even they understood it. He thinks the automotive industry is a growth industry. Not only that, but that it's the top in the world. That's it. I'm tapping out. I'm tapping. I'm done. If you all want to see a caller who defeated TBA, that call defeated me. You can mark that one up in the record books. That call defeated me. I deflated. I lost my ability to fight. I couldn't lift my fists. I was just so bewildered at what I heard. I just couldn't go out there in the ring anymore. I couldn't do it. Everybody's like, TBA, go knock him out. I can't. Are you okay? No, I'm not. I can't do it, Mickey. Mickey, I can't do it. What's wrong with your rock? I can't do it, Mickey. I'm done. I can't do it. I'm like Mike Tyson. I ain't got it no more. When that white dude knocked Tyson out that last time, I ain't got it. That's it. I ain't got it no more. I ain't got it. I ain't got it no more. What we got here? Is this an overseas caller on the line? You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, brother Jason Black. This is Elemental P calling from Hong Kong.
All right, brother Elemental P from Hong Kong. What's on your mind, brother?
I just wanted to let you, man, Brother Tariq had Dr. Claude Anderson on last week.
He literally did a whole hour broadcast talking about Detroit and how he tried to rebuild it. This, man, I'm like you. I'm tapping out, man. Like, what's going on? He just said, like, what Dr. Clark Anderson said, he was trying to rebuild Detroit. Like,
if you want to know what Dr. Anderson ran headfirst into when he attempted to revitalize Detroit, it's in a nutshell. That was it. If you want to know the problem in Detroit, that was it in a nutshell. That was it. After that, there's nothing more for me to say. I'm done. That's it.
Yeah, he said it. He said the Coons was the ones out there talking about something like they don't want to rebuild it due to quote-unquote racism. Like, oh, man, like, yo, be one, fam. Like, I ain't trying to hold up your line. Like, I had to vent because I'm like, bro, what's going on here?
Well, you see what's going on. I did a whole film about it when I talked about Detroit. If you want to know what's happening, that was it. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from 646. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, my name is Pam. I'm calling from New York City.
Okay, slow down, Pam. Pam, slow down. Your reception is breaking up on you. Check your bars on your phone and make sure you're okay. Also, if you are on a Bluetooth, speakerphone, or something else, take it off of that because you're chopping up a bit.
Excuse me?
Okay, that's better. Now, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York City.
Okay, we're at New York.
Washington Heights.
Washington Heights. I'm very familiar. What's on your mind?
I'm just calling because I don't, with some of the comments about women, I don't understand about all these women in horror culture and all this other stuff. Women I hang out with, Black American women I hang out with, they go to school, they're married, they take care of their kids. I just think some women get
Do you think that's the biggest issue? Do you think we have bigger issues than that? Of all the issues you could call about...
We do have bigger issues. One of the bigger issues, it starts with education in the home. That's
okay, whoa, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that, Pam. With all the things that, because people wait a long time to talk to me. They wait on the line usually a long time to talk. You didn't have to wait very long, but usually they have to wait a while to talk to me. And of all the things I discussed tonight, in 2.5 hours of conversation, all the things I discussed tonight, and of all the things that bothered you enough to feel like you needed to talk and you needed to call me,
because
that was what you focused on.
I care more about the children in the next generation.
Okay, but we have bigger issues. That's not the next generation. That's your own personal being offended. Why are you offended by it if you're not a slut or a hoe?
No, I'm not offended. I'm offended by people talking about the women and Black women are doing positive things.
Okay, who are the people? Who are the people you're referring to? Who are the people you're referring to?
What happened?
Who are the? You said I'm tired of the people talking about Black women. Okay, well that's not the people. That's the chat room, and I didn't see anything in there that was particularly problematic. But what does that have to do with what I'm talking about tonight? What does that have to do with it?
No, I agree with a lot of stuff you were saying about tonight and what's going on in Queens and gentrification. Gentrification is because we allowed it, and Black people need to read. Our people need to read. Our people need to study and research. Reading is so important.
Okay, well, when we're talking about a bunch of things, we're talking about a number of things. In the chat room, they're talking about a lot of things, and of all the things that you could have contacted us about, you're focusing on, yeah, I want to talk about women. You're not talking about Black people. You just want to talk about women. That's traitor talk. When you want to try to divide us, yes, it is. That's traitor talk, because we're supposed to be talking about Black people. We're supposed to be talking about Black people.
I don't care about.
No, ma'am. No.
I care about my own.
We're talking about Black people. When you sit up here and talk about, I want to talk about the women. Wrong. That's traitor talk.
No, not women. Black women.
Ma'am, that's traitor. That's traitor talk. Because we've been talking about black men tonight too. Why is it that didn't? They were talking about black men in the chat tonight too. Whoa, back up, Pam.
Don't do that.
Pam.
Because I'm not against the black men. Don't do that. I wrote
Pam.
articles.
Ma'am, I'm not going to. Pam, let me tell you this one time, and I'm going to say this one time only. I'm not going to shout to be heard over you. So when I talk, you be quiet, and when I get done talking, then you can talk then. If you interrupt me again, you're just out of control mammyism, and I gotta cut you. All right, because you sound like a plus-size gal, and I won't hold that against you, but you can't act like Big Mama Thornton on my phone. You can't do it. All right.
I'm half that size.
Okay. Half that size, my ass. I know a big one when I hear one, and I ain't got a problem with that necessarily, but you can't come in here and act like the big black woman from the Tom and Jerry cartoon. You can't do that. So if you're gonna talk about women, I don't talk about women, I talk about ladies. If you're not gonna act like a lady, now we got a different issue. All right, moving right along here. The chat room was talking about black women. They were also talking about black men. You did not call me up to say you had a problem with what people were saying about black men. You only wanted to talk about black women. That's traitor talk. So my question to you is, why didn't you raise an issue with all the statements they were making about black men? Why didn't that bother you?
No one was saying anything negative about black men.
Actually, they were. And I was okay, you didn't see that. Okay, that's mammyism. That's traitor talk. You didn't see anything except, well, I saw something about black women. Okay, that means you've got traitor eyes. So you didn't, yes, because you didn't want to defend black men. You didn't see anything worth defending black men over. You just saw something that you can cause dissension with. Well, it's about black women. No, we were talking about black women and black men. Well, I didn't see nothing about the men, but about the women I saw that. Okay, then you've got traitor eyes.
No, I bet you I don't have a traitor pen when I write good things about black men, articles of positive stuff about black men.
Okay,
it's okay though.
You're not demonstrating it today. You got selective amnesia. You got selective blindness.
I'll send you articles and research papers I have done positive about black men.
I can live without it because I'm seeing what you're doing tonight.
Oh, please. Okay. Anyway, thank you anyway.
Okay, that's selective nearsightedness. I hope you get that cleared up.
You say not myopic?
No, you got selective blindness. You can only see, you saw about the women, you didn't see anything about the men. You got selective blindness. Kind of like when white people see the police doing something bad, they have selective blindness. They can't see it when it happens to black people. Why y'all upset? Y'all shouldn't be riding in the streets. But when it happens to white people, all of a sudden we need police reform. We need to do this, that, and the other. So that's selective blindness. So I hope
I do not. I have a black father, so stop that.
Okay, your black father didn't help your selective blindness tonight. So what does that mean?
My black father was very positive in my life.
Okay,
very positive and always. He was in the house. My parents were married. Stop
okay, that doesn't just because you had a father in the home doesn't mean that he was a good father. I mean, that just means you had a dad in the home. What does that mean?
No, he was an excellent father.
Says you.
An excellent father.
Says you.
Excuse me?
Says you. But we don't have anybody. We don't have any type of objective. We don't have any type of objective measurement of that. Just your word for it. But everybody.
No measurement of how I came out.
Okay, Donald Trump's kids think he's great. George W. Bush's kids think he's great. Barack Obama's kids think he's great. Jaden Smith with his dress and his sister wilding out, they think their dad is great. So what does that mean?
He created me, so that's why my father's great.
Your father is great. Your father is great because he created you. Is that what you just said?
And he worked for his family.
Ma'am, back up. Did you just say that your father is great because he created you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the other things as well, but.
All right. I think that statement says it all. I'll let you have the last word.
Just stay black. That's it. Bye.
There are a lot of black people, and particularly black women, who have a white supremacist mentality. The white supremacist mentality is that it's true. Well, why is it true? Because I said so. And she just sat here and told you, my dad is great. It's true. Why is it true? Because I said so. I want to send a word of help to the ladies out there that when you talk in this type of conceited, narcissistic fashion, that's the reason that most black women in the New York area or from the New York area, if they're in it or from it, there's a reason why they're single. And they will tell you that everybody's chasing white women. That's what they'll tell you. But then you have phone calls like tonight, and all it took for me, well, I had a dad. Okay, most of you fellas would have stopped right there and said, well, that doesn't make him a good one. How do you figure he's a good dad? He gave birth to me. Okay. How many of y'all have heard hood rats say that to their children? You should be lucky that I had you. That's the benefit and the great privilege that I bestowed on you was I chose to gap my musty legs and give birth to you. Never mind the fact the fella I laid up with was worthless as a used watermelon rind. Never mind that. How many of you have heard this type of mentality somewhere else? How many of you? So some of you thought I was being mean when I said mammy talk. Some of you thought I was being mean. Some of you thought I was being mean when I said that. What do you think now? You thought I was being mean during the call when I said it. Now what do you say? Am I still being mean? Am I still being pejorative? Look it up. Am I still being negative? Am I still doing that? Just asking. We're not competing. We're not on it. It ain't working. I gotta tell you, after that phone call, I might do a broadcast of the Business Monday. I might just do a broadcast of the Business Monday. I might just do that. I might just do a broadcast of the business so I can discuss that Jill Scott situation and how that is directly correlative to black society. I might, and that phone call, so I can start connecting some of these dots. We might do a broadcast of the business. We just might. So I can explain exactly why that is the case. I might. Wanted to give you a brief reminder here. We will be back tomorrow night without technical glitches, hopefully. And we will also be here live Thursday night. We'll be back tomorrow night. We might be back Monday night for the business, and we will be back live Thursday night to discuss whatever we're going to discuss on Thanksgiving. So all of you are invited to join us. I definitely want to look forward to that as well. Race War is coming to DVD should be within the next 7 business days. There's going to probably be a little bit of a delay because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but within the next 7 days, Race War should be coming to DVD and streaming. I simply can't wait for that to become available to you as well. That's going to be a big thing on here. Can't wait for you to see that. For those of you who saw the clip that I released from it earlier this week, The Younger versus the Elder, you're going to want to check that out as well. I released a clip from Race War on this channel, my TBA channel, and my Black Authority channel. If you have not seen the younger versus the elder, so you can get an idea of exactly what we were doing in this documentary film, what makes it different, what makes it unique, what makes it historic, that's going to be available for you here as well. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio program. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.